It's June the 1st, Picks edition of the MLB Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. You can win up to 100 times your entry with Underdog Fantasy Pick'em. Sign up with our code MLBSGPN to claim your special pick and first-time deposit offer up to $250 in bonus cash. UnderdogFantasy.com, promo code MLBSGPN. And we're brought to you by the Mega Memorial Merch Sale. 15% off everything in the SGPN merch store with the promo code SGPNMay. Act now as the sale ends Friday. Welcome, everybody, to the MLB Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. My name is Malcolm Bamford, coming to you from Newcastle upon Tyne in the northeast of England. Today is Friday, May the 31st. And I cannot believe we are about to handicap the slate of games for the 1st of June. Joining me is Mr. Scott Reichel. Scott, what officially counts as the dog days of summer for baseball? Is there official opening day for the dog days, or is June the 1st anywhere near?
It depends. It basically depends on the year, but I believe it's considered the dog days once every other sport has finished.
Right.
So once the NBA finishes and once hockey finishes, and you pretty much only have baseball on the card, I think that's when it's officially the dog days of summer. So usually July or August.
Oh, okay. So also we're nowhere near the dog days then. Okay. We're still
That's my interpretation.
Doors.
I'm sure it varies by person, but I feel like dog days of summer kind of refers to when you're in the point where it's only baseball, nothing else. And that's kind of how I look at it.
You've got to be very careful where I live not to miss the summer, because you could go for a bath and you could come out and the summer's been and gone. You could watch something on the TV for an hour. You could go into the cinema and you've missed the summer. So you've got to be very wary not to miss the 2 or 3 hours of summer that we will get. So keep your eyes out for that.
Well, that was similar to me in college. College because I went to Wisconsin. It was in the Midwest. And it was winter for most of the year. It's like 10 degrees, 20 degrees. You're freezing your ass off there. I got sick every year. I don't know how I got through 4 years of it. Point is, though, everyone kept telling me the summer is really, really nice over in Wisconsin. I'm like, oh, okay, sure. It's like, 70s, 80s, sun's out, no complaints. I never saw it because every time I finished school, I went back to New York. So I just never saw the summer in Wisconsin. The summer was probably a month or two, and I was never there for it. So I can't even tell you how good it was. I just never witnessed it in my life. So similar story.
Sounds a bit like sounds like where I live. That's why I'm this lovely pale blue complexion, as all the people from Newcastle tend to be. Gio, first in the chat tonight. Gio, how are you doing? Scott, can I ask you, how do you feel about country music?
I'm not a fan of it, but always home take me. Oh, but always okay. I'm not a fan of it, but if there's one song that I could handle, it's John Denver, Almost Heaven, West Virginia. Take Me Home Country Road. Okay. That's basically it.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how I look at country music. I'm not a fan at all. It's not for me. But if there's one song I could handle, it would be that one.
Well, I might ruin that song for you now because that's a big Man United song, Scott. Their fans sing that. To take me home to Old Trafford, blah blah blah, all that bollocks.
Oh no, see, I'm not even bothered by that because Man City's won so many trophies.
Yeah, that's fine.
Man City's won so many trophies in Old Trafford, with the exception of the FA Cup that happened about a week or two ago, that I'm fine with it.
Yeah,
Man U's kind of an afterthought for me at this point. They got their own problems.
Well, I've sat here most of the night. I was just telling you before we started, a little bit bored. I feel like I've wasted about 8 hours of this Friday, but I ended up going down a bit of a country music wormhole. I started watching Lainey Wilson, who, to look at, is like a different species, Scott, by the way. And then I've got a bit of Grand Ole Opry on the TV. There was a whole program about Madonna at the BBC. And
I don't know what that has to do with country music, but okay.
Yeah, nothing at all is the short answer. Cool. But I do think if you're watching a bit of music, it goes well with a little bit of a drink. And I think this is probably only about the 3rd time ever recording the show I've had a drink in my hand. So I've got a little whiskey, well, quite a big whiskey, actually. While I've got Carrie Underwood is currently, and she's all right to look at as well, so I'm quite happy with her on meat. I didn't know, because me and Noah Beanick often have a little country music chat. He's my, as well as being good at college baseball and MLB prospects, he's very good at country music as well. So if I need any country music information, Noah is my man.
What is that, a Johnny Walker? Was that a blue label? Black label?
This is no, it's a Glenfiddich.
Okay.
Because I like a I'm a bit of a whiskey drinker, and because I used to coach the small boys football team, every Christmas and at the end of every season, they'd always get you a gift. And the gift, they obviously couldn't think of anything else to get me, so I would always get a bottle of whiskey. So it's like the whiskey museum out in my kitchen. I've got one of everything. Like, whatever you name, I could go out and fetch you one now. And I don't drink much in the house, so it sits there and gets dusty. But I've got all sorts. So that was just the first thing I put my hand on, my little Glenfiddich tonight.
Nice.
Saturday, full slate of games for the 1st of June. Not much happening today, only one day sport game. The Reds are going to beat the Cubs, which is a bad start for our picks. Cubs led, but Reds got them back. 14 of these games are on the board. Just got one. Oh, in fact, I've got a 15th TBD picture, so we might be able to get some lines as we go. I'm missing a few totals, but I'm sure you can help us out with that, Scott, as we go along. And we will start with 3:07 Eastern first pitch between the Pittsburgh Pirates and the Toronto Blue Jays. Mitch Keller starts for Pittsburgh, and going to the mound for Toronto will be left-handed pitcher Yusei Kikuchi. The Pirates are plus 130. The Blue Jays are minus 160. Total is set at 7.5. I quite like underdog here to start off with, Scott. Keller is 6-3, 3.59 ERA. He's been outstanding lately. In May, Keller started 4 games to a 1.30 ERA. He only gave up 1 home run. Pittsburgh won all 4 of his starts, including both of his road starts. The 5-5 in the last 10, which is acceptable. The 14-15 on the road, which is acceptable if you're playing them at plus money, which we are. Kikuchi's been okay, if slightly inconsistent. 2-4, 3.25 ERA, 1-3 at home. This is another concerning number. 2.81 home ERA, fine. Records 1-3, not fine. They have lost his last 2 home starts. There was enough ticks and boxes yet to give Pittsburgh a chance at a nice price, plus 130 for the Pirates, Scott.
Yeah, I'm going to agree. I think that these teams in general are more similar than people want to admit because Toronto has expectations every year, Pittsburgh doesn't. The records are only separated by 1 game, and that's because Pittsburgh's played 1 more game. So these records are basically the same. You could argue that these teams are inconsistent. You don't really trust betting on them anyway, but Pittsburgh's hitting plus 135. I feel like these pitchers are somewhat comparable. Kikuchi's been good at home, as you said, but he doesn't get any run support, so it kind of cancels out. But I just wonder why Toronto's getting a pretty solid reputation in this matchup at minus 155. You could argue Keller, based on recent form, has been the better pitcher. We saw Kikuchi get shelled by Detroit last time out. I think the price is off. I think Toronto should be favored, but I think they should be closer to like minus 130 in this game. 150, 155 feels massive to me. Give me Pittsburgh in what I think is more of a coin flip game than people want to actually admit.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. The key thing you said there is that the price is off. That's what it is. If I wake up and find that Toronto won the game, yeah, absolutely fine. But you can't take them at minus 160. I think Pittsburgh have to be the play. 4:05 Eastern first pitch, Tampa Bay Rays at the Baltimore Orioles. This is a funky-looking pitching matchup. A couple of young pitchers going head-to-head here in Taj Bradley for Tampa Bay and Kyle Bradish for the Orioles, plus 130 for Tampa Bay, minus 167 Baltimore. Total here is 8.5, Scott.
Yeah, for this one, I might just go with a relatively safe option. Give me the first 5 under in this matchup. I trust both pitchers. Bradley's been good. He hasn't really gotten any run support, but so far this year, he's been solid. The home runs are still a bit of an issue, but I think we'd agree that his stuff is definitely good enough to at least help him have a good start against a solid offense like Baltimore. Bradish, though, has been very good. 25 2/3 innings pitched, a 1.75 ERA. Tampa was able to salvage the last 2 games against Oakland. Siri had the home run against Miller there in the 9th inning. I believe that was Miller's first blown save of the year. Baltimore's been rolling along. They have actually been dominant in their wins. They ended up winning 2 out of 3 against Boston. If you go through Baltimore's last couple wins, though, they've been really good on the run line. They have won each of their last 6 games by 2+ runs. So if you like Baltimore, take them on the run line. But for this matchup, I am going to go with the first 5 under. I think Bradley's been good. I think Bradish has been good. 8.5, so you're probably looking at 4.5 for the first 5. I like the under on that. I see a low-scoring start to this game.
Yeah, so a similar pick, Scott, but I went for the full game under. Pretty much for the reasons you spelled out. Bradley's had 4 starts. 3 of them have been good. All 4 of them would have gone under a total, totals of 4 and 5, etc. And the last 3 starts for Brad has been spot on. All 3 of those would have gone under. So really, this was purely a data pick. Not I like him, I like them. This was just both pitchers and their games were involved and all going under. And the total seems high to me, 8.5. I was delighted with that extra half a run. So I would take the under between the Rays and the Orioles. A 4:10 Eastern first pitch is the Arizona Diamondbacks at the New York Mets. Left-handed pitcher for the Snakes is an unfamiliar name, Blake Walston. Lefty Sean Manaea goes for the New York Mets, who are minus 133 at home. The Diamondbacks are plus 105. Total is 8.5. Yeah, so Blake Walston, 2.16 ERA, has appeared twice so far. Pitched 8 1/3, giving up 7 hits and 2 earned runs. He did walk 4 in his first time. Maybe a little bit of debut nerves there, but settled down against Miami. Relatively short starts, and really not much to add about that. I think you'd be all right. Sean Manaea is pitching well, and the Mets have won 4 of his last 5. There's nothing much between these two teams at all, really. The Walston and the rest of the D-backs won't have to be brilliant to be able to compete on a level playing field with the Mets. So I was looking for something to break the tie, and it was the hitting numbers against lefties that did it for me. The Mets are hitting 223. The Diamondbacks are hitting 277. That's half a point difference. That's just enough to break the tie. I'll take the Diamondbacks at plus 105.
Yeah, I'm going to agree. I see a plus 115. I feel like it's a similar story to what we talked about for the Blue Jays game a little while ago. I think these teams are pretty even. They both underachieved. They're both not very good, if we're just being honest. And now the Mets were able to win yesterday's game. It was a game the Mets felt like they were going to lose because Gallen did not record a single out, and you kind of just assumed the Mets were going to find a way to blow it anyway. And they came back late and they won the game 3-2. The issue is the Mets bullpen is an absolute gas can. It's been awful for the last couple of weeks. They've sabotaged so many games that they probably should have won. The point is, with these teams not being separated by much, I'll take the plus money. I think that even if Manaea pitches well, if he doesn't go much length, and you're going to have to rely on Diaz and Ottavino and all these guys who are awful so far this season, I would rather take the dog. So give me the Diamondbacks with a better bullpen at plus money.
Yeah, I think, did Gallen do a hammy last night, maybe? He come out the game with a hamstring.
He pulled the hammy 6 pitches in.
Oh, wow. That's not ideal, is it?
I had the first 5 under.
Okay.
I won anyway, somehow.
Very shrewd man, Scott. College baseball is rolling along. Noah Beanick has got you covered with the college baseball experience. There's a college baseball bracket contest, $200 SGPN gift card at sportsgamblingpodcast.com/bracket. Plus, you've got a couple of hours left on the Mega Memorial merch sale, 15% off anything with the code SGPN. May NBA playoffs, the podcast Scott and all his cronies who are involved in is absolutely outstanding. Get across there. In Underdog Fantasy is the place to make all your bets and DFS lineups. It's the easiest place to play fantasy sports. Win up to 100 times your money. Loads of fun. Rebounds, assists, take higher or lower on your player props. Available in over 30 states, California, Texas, Canada. And they've just launched Champions, which is a player versus player format in Florida. The code you need to sign up with is MLB SGPN to claim your special pick and first-time deposit offer up to $250 in bonus cash. UnderdogFantasy.com, promo code MLB SGPN. 4:10 Eastern first pitch is the Detroit Tigers at the Boston Red Sox. Reese Olson draws the start for Detroit. Going to the bump for Boston will be Cooper Criswell, who are even money at home. The Tigers are minus 133, and the total is at 8.5, Scott.
Yeah, so these are another 2 teams that record-wise are the exact same. Now, the Red Sox do play in a tougher division, but you're looking at Olson's numbers. I feel bad for the guy. Guy has a 1.92 ERA and he's 1-5. That's rough. Like, DeGrom even looks at that and goes, damn, like, I feel really bad for that guy. I mean, Criswell, we saw get shelled this last time out against the Orioles. The Orioles, though, we know are a good team. It really does feel like a coin flip. I think for this one, I probably would lean to Detroit. Probably Detroit first 5, because I do think that Olsen's been good this year. Criswell, you could argue, might end up pitching well because we know Detroit's offense is a lot worse than Baltimore's. But I do think that based on where the numbers are located, Detroit should be a little bit of a favorite. So I think the odds are actually right in this game. I'll lean to Detroit first 5. Give me Olsen to have a good showing, and then maybe the bullpen blows it. But I do think Olsen's been better than Criswell this season. That's good enough for me.
Yeah, agree with you. Detroit were my pick. I mean, the positive thing for Olsen is that win that he did get was in his last start. So maybe there's going to be a little streak. Maybe he can put a little sequence together. But the fact it was a 2-1 win as well speaks volumes about how Detroit are trying to help him out. So even the win he got, he had to squeak home 2-1. He's still giving up maximum 1 earned run. Criswell had his moments early on. He's starting to look a little bit exposed to me. I think he's quite hard to trust. We saw Jack Flaherty in Detroit beat Boston and Pivetta comfortably in the Thursday game. This looks similar to me, except Criswell's not quite as good as Pivetta. Yeah, so I'll take the Tigers at minus 133. Next game is a 4:10 Eastern first pitch between the Washington Nationals and the Cleveland Guardians. Left-handed pitcher, what's his first name? Oh, there. Mitchell, that's him. Mitchell Parker. I like him. I just can't remember his name. Goes for Washington. And Ben Lively is the starter for Cleveland. Minus 167, the Guardians. Plus 130, the Nationals. 8.5 is the total, Scott.
Yeah, so I can't tell if the Nationals are actually in good form or if the Braves are just horrible. It could be both. It could be both. They were getting plus money by a decent amount in basically every game. I gave them out as my dog with Gore on the mound in the middle of that series, and that worked out well. But the Nationals have been pretty good recently. The Guardians have been fine. They ended up losing 2 out of 3 to Colorado. It's never easy to travel the course, so I don't know if I could actually make anything of that. But I think based on the pitchers in this matchup, it is a pretty solid matchup between Parker and Lively. I don't mind the under at 8.5. I think the total feels a bit high based on both pitchers this season. I think I would lean to Washington. I just think that 135, 140 or so feels a bit high for a Nationals team that's been hitting pretty well recently. I'll lean to the Nationals, getting a decent plus money price.
Yeah, I found it really hard to split them. So if I was forced to pick a side, it would be Washington for similar reasons that we took Pittsburgh earlier on and Arizona, plus money. Again, something that's quite hard to split. But I do like both pitchers. They've got very similar records. And I think the 8.5's just too high, really. Should be a good game, be a close game. But yeah, I didn't split them, but I will take it under 8.5. Next game on the card is the San Diego Padres at the Kansas City Royals. First pitch here is 4:10 Eastern, and it is Joe Musgrove against Alec Marsh. The Royals minus 125, the Padres minus 105. Total is sat at 8.5. The ERA of these two pitchers is what tells the story here for me. Musgrove is 3-4, has a 5.66 ERA. Marsh is 4-2 with a 3.24 ERA. Musgrove is throwing the odd half decent start, but he's only pitched on the road 3 times this season. And across those 3 starts, he's managed 11 2/3 and given up 9 earned runs. So really poor on the road and quite hard to trust in any situation at the moment. He just hasn't showed it this season. Hopes were high for Musgrove at the start of the season, but yeah, really struggling. Alec Marsh, I have made no secret of the fact that I like him. That 3.24 ERA plays. In Kansas City have been really good at home. We 18-11, 19-11, something like that. The top of my head.
21-8.
Sorry? Okay, oh wow, even better. Yeah, 21-8. So yeah, Royals minus 125. I think it's a great price.
Yeah, so you have Kansas City being favored in this game.
Minus 125, I've got, yeah.
Okay, because I'm looking at a certain platform. I'm looking at ESPN, and they have San Diego at minus 120. So that's why I'm wondering if there's maybe a split line going on.
Oh, no, yeah. I've wrote it down. Arse over tit is what's happened. Yeah, so I've got San
It's better
Diego.
for you. You like
-115.
Kansas City anyway. That's better for you. But
Yeah, I wrote the prices down wrong. I can see -115 San Diego. I can see -105 for Kansas City. Excellent. I'll take the extra fifth of a point, Scott.
so I think I'm actually going to disagree with you on this one, even
Ooh.
though I have to acknowledge that Musgrove's overall road numbers are not great, and even though Marsh's numbers have been good this season, Kansas City is low key kind of in a massive slump, and nobody's really talked about it. And I do think that the Padres have played good baseball recently, but the Royals have lost 4 of their last 5. Yes, it was on the road; they're traveling back home. But Musgrove has been good his last couple outings, just to go through them. So I think that you're looking at Musgrove's numbers being inflated by how bad he was when the season started. I was fading him, and it worked out well. Recently, though, he's been fine. Not really going much length. Ended up going 5 1/3, gave up 1 run against the Yankees. Good showing there. 3 innings, 1 earned against the Reds. Not sure what really happened there, only going 3 innings. A start before that, 6 innings, 2 runs against the Reds. He's been decent. And March, we saw struggle last start against Minnesota. But I do think that the Padres have played better baseball recently. And I do think that even though the Royals at home, you could argue, are blindly worth it because they're 21-8 and they're getting even money. So I understand that argument. I think that the Royals are, I don't want to say overachieving to start the season, but I do think that the Padres right now are in better form for what I've seen over the last week. So I'm going to link to San Diego. I think Marsh is a pitcher that you like a lot. I was skeptical of before the season started. He's been good. I am a part of me is kind of waiting for the regression to hit him, and maybe the Minnesota start is a sign of things to come. But I'm going to link to San Diego here. I think Musgrove's actually been decent.
Yeah, fair enough. Two different angles into that one, two different trains of thought. Another 4:10 Eastern first pitch. This is a good-looking pitching matchup. The Minnesota Twins at the Houston Astros. Joe Ryan for Minnesota and left-handed pitcher Framba Valdez for the Astros. Tight on the books, -105 Minnesota, -125 Houston. Total at 7.5. Joe Ryan, 4-3, 296 ERA. His last two starts have been really good. 14 innings, 2 times 7. Only given up 1 earned run. On the road, he is 2-0 with a 144 ERA. Valdez, he's still all over the place. He's really struggling to put together a sequence of good starts. I mean, he's 3-3, 434. Some have been okay, but a lot of them haven't. And the Twins hit lefties okay. They hit 266 against lefties. So I'm going to give Minnesota a chance here. -105 for the Twins, Scott.
Yeah, well, I mentioned a second ago that Kansas City did lose the series against Minnesota. So overall, a good series by the Twins in that one. Minnesota this season is 3 over on the road, and the Astros are 1 under at home. Joe Ryan on the road this season, 1.44 ERA. So he's been better on the road than at home, actually, which most people might not have expected. Weird slash lines, though, that Houston has against Ryan because they have a 245 batting average, but a 356 on base percentage in 58 career bats. So he walks a ton of guys for Houston. So maybe if you want to go for some walk props, I don't mind that for the Astros. For this game, though, you mentioned Valdez. He's all over the place. You really don't know what you're going to get from him. I'm going to lean to Minnesota, but I am a bit concerned about Ryan's walk issues against Houston. So maybe a walk prop is worth a look. But I do think that Minnesota is getting a decent price here when Houston has been overvalued all season long. I'll lean to Minnesota.
Okay, so double bubble on the Minnesota Twins. 4:10 Eastern first pitch is the Oakland Athletics at the Atlanta Braves. We have Aaron Brooks. Is his name Aaron? It is Aaron. Aaron Brooks for Oakland and left-handed pitcher Chris Sale for the Braves. I mean, prohibitive. Not the most prohibitive price on the card, actually. There is a shorter price than this. Atlanta are -333. Auckland are +240. And the total is at 8.5.
Just give it out already.
You can do
I know what you're going to do. I know what you're going to do. Just do it already. I know what you're going to do.
Well, I was going to hand it to you, but I wasn't 100% sure because I hadn't seen Chris Sale. I thought Chris Sale was pitching tonight. But obviously, let me just check what Atlanta are doing.
I'm surprised you're delaying, though. I thought you were going to be all over Oakland. I thought you were going to watch the Braves over the last couple days against Washington and just go, oh, you're going to give me like 250? I thought you were blindly going to be on Oakland in this game.
Well, this is kind of why I was passing it over to you first. Sometimes I like to get the opinion of I want someone to convince me I'm not an idiot, and that's your job tonight, Scott. So yeah, I mean, what are you taking here?
Well, I can handle potentially doing that, but you started drinking, so I might need some reinforcements if I need some help with that. But I think for this matchup,
4,000 miles away, you're safe as houses.
I just like the under in this game at 8.5. Atlanta can't hit. I feel like we're looking at an offense that has been based on reputation, based on last year. Even with Acuna being healthy, this offense wasn't very good. And they were constantly being priced as being a phenomenal offense because the danger is always there with Olsen and with Riley and Acuna and all these guys. They really have been mediocre offensively or even below average in pieces. And Trevor's mentioning stats about the Braves at home. I like the under. I think 8.5 is too high. We know Oakland offensively is not very good. I've been fading Diaz, by the way, since he came back. I got no hit on Diaz at like plus 125 against the Rays last game, and he got pinch hit for. I would keep taking him. He had 10 minor league rehab starts. He batted like 150. So if you want to go for Diaz unders, I like that for a hitter prop for Oakland. But for the Braves, they've had a hard time hitting. Acuna's out. Brooks has been fine. And Sale's been really, really good. I think Sale will pitch well in the start. For the actual side, I would lean to Oakland because I don't want to lay $3 or $3.30 with Atlanta right now. But I like the under. I think 8.5 is too high.
We did the same last night. We took it was JPCs against Ronaldo Lopez, and part of the handicap was it was that handicap was that Oakland are unlikely to score enough runs off Lopez or in this case Sale, and Atlanta haven't been scoring the runs. That 2.6 runs per game at home in the last 11 is the stat that Trev gave us. So yet again, you put a gun to my head, made me pick a side. I'd take Oakland, but I think the 8.5 is a good spot in this point. Atlanta might just win, but if they do, it might be 5-0, 5-1.
They can even go higher than
something
that. If
along.
Atlanta scores 6, Sale just might keep Oakland in check, and they might win like 6-1.
Yeah, I'm perfectly happy with that. We'll go with the under. We'll move on to 4:10 Eastern first pitch. Texas Rangers at the Miami Marlins. This is the game I've got no odds for. But as we've been speaking, I've seen Michael Lorenzen confirmed for Texas. He was the pitcher that wasn't listed all day. Ryan Weathers is going for Miami, left-handed pitcher. Do you have any lines on this one, Scott? Because Lorenzen only dropped in the last 20 minutes or so.
No, I got nothing.
No. The only notes I've got for this is that Weather's been absolutely brilliant lately. 21 innings in his last 3 starts, 9 hits, 1 earned run, and the Marlins have won all 3. So, given the presence of Lorenzen, do you make this maybe a match on the books? I wouldn't. I would struggle to split them. If I was going to give you odds now, I'd maybe make it -110 each of 2. I don't know how far away I'm going to be. But without seeing the odds, my lean would be Miami at this point.
Yeah, I think I'd have to lean to Miami too. I think it should be close to that on the books, but in reality, the Rangers will be favored because of just overall reputation and the Marlins being viewed as one of the worst teams in the league. Been better recently, though. Lorenzen, though, has been very good his last 3 outings. Last 3 outings, he's gone about 19 1/3, giving up 3 runs. Did leave his last start, though, with cramping, so we'll see what his story is. The issue, though, is that even with Lorenzen pitching well, they don't win any of his starts. The Rangers have actually lost 6 straight starts by Lorenzen. So for whatever reason, he just doesn't get any type of either run support or just doesn't get any breaks to go his way. Kind of like the Marlins with Trevor Rogers for a decent portion of the year. They just can't win his starts. So I think with that being the case, I'm going to lean to Miami. We'd agree the Rangers have been one of the more disappointing teams in the entire league this season. They've just not been very good. I think they will be favored in this outing because of overall talent on paper. I'm going to lean to Miami. I just think that with Lorenzen not getting results to go his way, and with Weathers actually being decent recently, you might get some plus money here. So give me the Marlins at what I think should be plus money.
Okie doke. Team ride on the Marlins. Rhythm, new sponsor here. RITH is how we're spelling that. And this is for anyone betting on NBA player props. You absolutely have to download Rhythm. Rhythm gives you a menu of the best player props for every single NBA playoff game, making it easy to go through and find the best props to put your money on in seconds. Rhythm's predictions are backed by over 3 years of data and a team of data scientists and quants that focus on fine-tuning our algorithm to give you the best shot at winning. It's great for DFS as well as having a bet. You've got player prop graphs that can help make you feel more confident. It's all backed by AI data. So start a 7-day trial for free and start winning your NBA player props with Rhythm, available wherever you get your apps. And remember, the spelling of that is RITHMM. 4:10 Eastern first pitch is the Chicago White Sox at the Milwaukee Brewers. Garrett Crochet, left-handed pitcher for the White Sox, and a lefty who's been going well for the Brewers is Robert Gasser. This is low-key a nice pitching matchup as well, Scott.
I like the under. Yeah, you just kind of hit the nail on the head there. Gasser's been really, really good. I actually had money on him in his last outing against the Cubs, and it was 0-0 in about the 8th inning, and then the Cubs bullpen imploded, which I appreciated. But I like the under in this game. Gasser's been really good, and you're looking at Crochet, who was really good to start the year. Then he was a mess, and then he figured it out again. So I think that you're looking at two solid pitchers, a lot of strikeouts in this game. So I would like the over on strikeouts for both guys. But I do think that if we're going for value on this matchup, I think there's value on Milwaukee, actually, at like minus 150. I understand that it's a decent minus price, but Milwaukee's clearly better than this team. Chicago's 5-21 on the road, and I think that Milwaukee easily has the better bullpen. So if you're going for value, if I think both pitchers are going to kind of cancel each other out, then give me the team with the better bullpen at home with a much better record. So I like Milwaukee at minus 150. Doesn't that feel like a pretty cheap line? I mean, the over-under in this game, by the way, is at like 7 or 6.5. So you're expecting a rock fight. But I know the Brewers' bullpen's really good, and I know the White Sox bullpen's not. So give me Milwaukee at what I think is a pretty manageable price at minus 150.
Yeah, I understand. I don't think I'd be rushing to bet it. It just doesn't blow my skirt up particularly. I didn't give the odds out here. The White Sox are around about plus 120. As you say, the Brewers minus 150. The first and total I did see was 6.5. And I don't think I've seen a 6.5 this season. I've now seen some sevens. As the show's gone on, some sevens have started popping up, which is more palatable because with the 6.5, I couldn't in good faith give that out because I like the under as well. The under was going to be my play. And I just thought I would look around for a pitching prop, a strikeout prop, or an outs prop, or something, rather than an under 6.5. But it's 7. Maybe that's playable. I mean, Crochet's May was outstanding. 0.93 ERA, 38-2 strikeout to walk ratio for Crochet. And Gas has been brilliant. 3 home starts. He's gone 6 innings every start with only 1 earned run given up, 3 walks, no homers, just rock solid. So yeah, under 7 we will go for. Lane has joined us. Lane Elliott, how you doing? Rubric Ocean wants the Brewers to take the series down. Anyone who's lurking in the chat who hasn't said hello, by all means, stick your head above the parapet and do that. 7:15 Eastern first pitch is the Cincinnati Reds at the Chicago Cubs. Hunter Green for the Reds and friend of the show, left-handed pitcher Justin Steele will go for the Cubs. The Cubs were turned over tonight in the first game of this series. I don't know, it was 5-3 last time I checked. Reds hung on anyway. The Saturday game, Cincinnati and Green are plus 110. The Cubs and Steele are minus 138. There's no total. We never see a total in Chicago. Scott, who do you like here?
Yeah, this one is interesting because Steele was really bad for most of the season, and he went against Gasser in that start I mentioned, where he was really good. Bullpen came in and blew the game. The Cubs, though, have been horrible lately, and the Reds have actually been fine, I guess. I mean, they won today. They had lost the last 2 against St. Louis, but they ended up sweeping the Dodgers. They've been better recently. The Cubs, though, are an absolute freefall. To go through the Cubs' last couple of games here, they have lost, just pulling up the numbers here. This is a mess. All right, so I'll start from this losing streak against Atlanta. So they have lost 8 of their last 9. They've been awful. I feel like for value, I got to link to Cincinnati. it's a spot where even though Steele was really good, and even though maybe he figured it out again, I can't back a team that's lost 8 of 9. The bullpens has not been very good recently. Steele was good last start, but I don't know if that's sustainable. I'm not a big Hunter Green guy, but his numbers this season have been solid. I'm getting plus money. I'm getting plus money fading a team that's lost 8 of 9. I think plus 115 is a really good deal. I'm going to lean to the Reds in this game.
Yeah, you're right. The Cubs are in a little bit of a mess. I mean, it was a pinch hit home run off Seiya Suzuki. I mean, whether you need to get him in the lineup, obviously, might have just been a maintenance day off for him. Bellinger's hitting a little bit. Ian Happ maybe is warming up a little bit, but apart from that, you're not getting much off the Cubs at all here. Hunter Green had a really good May, 2.40 ERA. 4 of his 5 went under. He had good road starts at the Dodgers and at the Diamondbacks. So I think you can trust him against decent oppo, which what the Cubs aren't currently. Steele eventually did turn in a good start. We've been waiting and waiting for it, and he did it last time at the Brewers. Question now is, can he back it up? We need to see him do it twice in a row. I like him, so I would trust him to go again. I think a similar game to what we saw today. The Cincinnati offense is worth a little fade as well as the Cubs. So I'll take the first 5 under. I like Green, and hopefully Steele can hold it together again. So yeah, we'll go with a low scoring start to this one. 7:15 Eastern. First pitch is the LA Angels at the Seattle Mariners. Left-handed pitcher Reed Detmers for the Angels, and Bryce Miller goes for the Mariners. Minus 175 Seattle. Plus 130 for the Angels. Not seen a total earlier on, but
I see 7.5.
7.5 is a total that I'm now seeing in this one. Detmers, he's got really crooked numbers in just about every column you could imagine. If you look through his game log, it doesn't matter what it is. It could be earned runs, it could be walks, it could be home runs, hits. There's just numbers, big numbers everywhere, which is not what you want to see. Lots of overs in his games, lots of high scoring games, but you can't bet him. Plus 130, actually. I think he should be a bigger price than that. Miller's been quite steady, if unspectacular. 6 innings and 2 earned runs is round about his standard line, which is good enough in this situation. These things are always tight because Seattle don't score enough. We saw them just get 4 hits again on the Thursday night game against Houston. But I think they'll be too good here. I'm going to take Seattle on the run line. They'll be 2 runs better. They should be 2 runs better than the Angels with these 2 pitchers on the mound, Scott.
Yeah, I agree. I watched a decent amount of the Angels over the last few days because they played the Yankees. They ended up winning the first game, miraculous fashion. They were losing that game. Probably should have been swept in the series. But yeah, Detmers kind of sucks. And I've been against Detmers for a while. He has a random no-hitter. He almost had a second no-hitter about a year later. But I don't think he's very good. Just watching him pitch. And this year he's been horrible. You're looking at his numbers, 5.76 ERA, 5.13 ERA on the road. He's allowed at least 3 earned. He was decent against the Guardians last time out. Gave up 3 runs in 5 innings. But he has given up at least 3 earned in 7 straight starts. He's given up at least 4 earned in 6 of his last 7 starts. He's been terrible. You're looking at Miller, though. He's been good at home. 2.48 ERA at home. Even though Seattle can't really hit, they were pretty good this past few days against Houston. Ended up not doing anything in the series finale, but they won the first 2 games of the series. I think Seattle's a better team. Just watching the Angels play, I don't think they're very good. The lineup pretty much has Rengifo and a little bit of Taylor Ward. And maybe Joe Adele occasionally. He's kind of cooled off recently. They don't really have anybody that scares me in that entire lineup besides Rengifo. And I think Seattle has a bit more. Not much, but a bit more. But I think Miller's good enough at home. Detmers has been brutal. Give me Seattle to win this game like 4-2.
Next up is the 7:15 Eastern first pitch between the St. Louis Cardinals and the Philadelphia Phillies. Sonny Gray for St. Louis and left-handed pitcher Ranger Suarez for Philly, who are minus 150. The Cards plus 115. Total here either. The late games Totals didn't come out until just a few minutes ago. This is another 7.5, Scott.
Yeah. Does any part of you want to fade Ranger Suarez, who, after Imanaga's last start, might be the Cy Young favorite?
No part of me wants to fade Ranger Suarez. The two pitching records here are outstanding. You got 7-2 going against a 9-1. But the 9-1, I'm considerably more impressed with, Scott.
Yeah, I think that even though Suarez has been great this season, I do understand why the line's cheap, because the Cardinals were in the basement, and now they're actually decent. They're at 500. I don't really know what happened there with the Cardinals, but yeah, but you're going through the standings, they're in second place, which sounds kind of shocking. But I do think I'm going to lean to Ranger, who I think is too reliable. Of course, the first 5 under seems obvious with Gray going up against Suarez, and I think that's probably the main angle most people will have in this matchup. You're looking at Gray, though. He's really not been good on the road. So far this season on the road, 23 innings pitched, a 4.7 ERA. He was roughed up a bit in his last 2 road starts. Gave up 5 runs against the Angels, gave up 6 runs against the Brewers. He has been very good recently, though. 5 innings, 1 hit against the Cubs, and no runs. 5 2/3, 1 earned against the Orioles. Both those starts were at home. But those home road splits are kind of alarming a bit. So I'm going to lean to Ranger Suarez at minus 140.
Yeah, same pick. It is a top pitching matchup. The Cardinals are annoying me. They have woken up a little bit. Trev's pointing out in the chat. Goldschmidt's been good, but it just seems to be against righties. They're actually hitting 213 against left-handed pitching, which is kind of enough here. So even if Gray goes well, Philly could still put 3 or 4 runs up on the board, and that'll be enough. That might be enough in this situation behind a solid 7 innings from Suarez. So yeah, I've got minus 150, but if you're saying minus 140,
yeah,
Godspeed, and I'll take the Phillies. The penultimate game on the show is a 10:05 Eastern first pitch between the New York Yankees and the San Francisco Giants. Cody Poteet is the starter for the Yankees. Logan Webb for the Giants. It's a match on the books. This is minus 110 each of 2 with a total of 7.5. The reason we are seeing Cody Poteet again is that Clark Schmidt has gone to the IL. I can't remember what he did now off the top of my head. But he hurt himself.
I think it was a lat injury. He's going to be out for a while. They said he's not throwing for the next month, so he's going to be out for a while.
Yeah, but just they put him on the 15 days, so I wasn't sure how serious it was. It wasn't an instant 60-day job, but anyway.
Well, I was going to say there's manipulation around it where if you put him on the 60, then you cannot bring him back for X amount of time. So
yeah,
most teams put their guys on the 15 unless it's serious. But it does seem like Schmidt's going to be out for at least a month and a half, 2 months.
Poteet, we have seen him once this season, and he did really well. He pitched against Cleveland on April the 13th, went 6 innings, gave up 1 earned run. Dealing here with home Logan Webb, who was a different creature. 3-1 with a 1.03 ERA. He can take on all comers at home, can Logan Webb. But I think Poteet can hang with him. And at that point, the Yankees are considerably better than the Giants in the other aspects of the game. Judge and Soto are absolutely frying at the moment. So in a low-scoring game, one swing of the bat by one of these Yankees, or Volpe. Dylan talked about Volpe last night as well. 21-game hit streak.
That ended last night, but yes, he's still been solid.
Dylan mushed that for him. We haven't mentioned it for 21 days. Dylan's managed to mush that. So I think Poteet can go well, hang with Webb, and at that point, I'd prefer the Yankees to win a close one, minus 110, Scott.
Yeah, I have a hard time with this one because I think I'd would lean to the Giants. I just trust Webb a bit too much. Maybe Giants first 5 in this matchup. I do agree that I think even though he's only made 1 start, I actually don't mind what I saw. It was a bit dated from Poteet, but I thought he was solid against Cleveland, which turned out to be a very solid start age-wise because the Guardians turned out to be very good. But I think for this matchup, I am going to lean to the under 7.5. I think, though, if I had to go for a side, I would pick the Giants first 5. Poteet has not pitched in the majors for a while at this point, and Webb, we know, has been incredible at home. You're also looking at Poteet, who actually was on the IL, ended up having a finger issue in, I think, AAA, and then he got called up for the start. So it might not be a big issue, but he's battling a finger thing, and he's against Logan Webb. I'll take the Giants first 5.
Okay. Different sides of that one. One game left here. Cowboy time, 10-10. Between the Colorado Rockies and the LA Dodgers. Cal Quantrill for the Rockies. Yoshinobu Yamamoto for the Dodgers. And when I said earlier on minus 333 wasn't the shortest price behind Chris Sale, we've got a minus 400 here. I don't think in 4.5 years doing this, I've seen a $4 favourite on the MLB Gambling Podcast. The Dodgers are minus 400, the Rockies plus 270, and the total is set at 8. Scott, lead us off with the with a minus 400 winner. You taking?
Yeah, give me the Rockies money line in this game. Even though the Dodgers did sweep the Mets on the road in that 3-game set, they weren't exactly impressive. They broke through in the last game, but we saw the Mets bullpen struggle, which is not a surprise to anybody. Rockies did win 3 of their last 4, all at home though. Beat the Phillies in the finale and beat the Guardians in 2 of the last 3. Point is though, Quantrill's numbers are actually very similar to Yamamoto's. Yamamoto, for reference, has a 3.51 ERA and a 1.1 WHIP. Quantrill has a 3.53 ERA and a 1.21 WHIP. So I think these pitchers are actually kind of similar based on stats. Quantrill's turned it around. He was an auto fade on the show for about a year or so, and now he's been good, especially lately. If you want to go through his last couple of starts, he's made 5 straight starts with a less than 3 earned. And you're looking at his last 5 starts as a whole, 31 and 2/3 innings pitched, a 1.71 ERA. He's been very good, and he's getting a lot of plus money. I'll go with the Rockies plus 270 and change. I understand that the Dodgers might win this game. I'm not laying 400. It's a crazy number for a Dodgers team that has not been very good over the last couple weeks. Give me the Rockies. I think it's a good price.
I completely agree with you. Quantrill's ERA across the whole of May was 170. He beat the Phillies. He beat the Padres. So why can't he go and beat the Dodgers against Yamamoto, who's given up 4 earned in 2 of his last 3 starts? I've actually gone with the first 5, Scott, just to narrow it down to the 2 starters, take a little bit of the guesswork out of it. But I completely agree with you. And it wasn't just an auto, this is a big price, I'm going to play it. Quantrill stacks up, absolutely stacks up. I agree with you. So, yeah, let's finish with a big dog. The Colorado Rockies. Scott, 15 games in the books. Give us your lock and dog for Saturday, June the 1st.
All right. So for starters, let me just think of my favorite play on the card. I think I actually am going to go to that Oakland and Atlanta game. I like the under at 8.5. I think that line's too high. You're looking at the Braves offensively being a mess recently. They've been a mess basically all season long. And I feel like the odds makers are still not pricing them correctly. We saw them lose 3 out of 4 against Washington, really did nothing offensively in that series. But reading off some of the scores that the Braves have actually had offensively recently, they had 1 run against the Nationals. They had 2 runs in back-to-back games against the Nationals. So less than 3 runs in 3 straight games. Scored 4 against the Nationals in the opener. They had a decent series against Pittsburgh. But if you really go down the line, Trevor mentioned it before, they've not been good at home offensively recently. Brooks has been fine so far this season. We know that Sale's been very good, and I think you're looking at Oakland struggling offensively against Sale. So give me the under 8.5. That line feels too high to me. I think you're looking at a very good opportunity to fade both offenses, and because of that, I am going to go with that as my lock. I see 8.5 minus 115. That's the line I'll go with as my pick for the lock. For the dog, I actually liked a lot of them on the card. A lot of teams that I feel like are mispriced on the card, so I got to figure out my favorite one to go with here. I think for my dog on the show, I am going to go with, it's either the Nationals or the Diamondbacks. I think if I had to go with it, or maybe Pittsburgh at 140. You know what? I think I will go with the Pirates. I'm not a Mitch Keller guy, but I think 140 is an insane price. Give me Pittsburgh plus 140. Kikuchi, we saw get shelled by Detroit last time out. You have seen his numbers at home look solid, but they don't win his starts. And I think that you're looking at that Detroit start as being potentially a warning sign that Kikuchi might be in line to struggle. Keller was very good for the last couple of starts. Both teams record-wise are basically the same. Give me plus 140. I think Toronto's always mispriced. They're a psycho team. We fade psycho teams. Give me plus 140.
Yeah, I was looking at Pittsburgh for my dog. I basically had a
The perks of going first. Choice of, sorry, not sorry. Perks of going first.
I had the choice of the ones I thought you were going to go Diamondbacks, which is on my short list, as well as Pittsburgh. Miami would be live, but we don't know what the prices are. Listen, let's take the Rockies. I don't think we were taking them just for the sake of it then. I think they've very much got a chance. And the price is outstanding, plus 270. So I'll take the Rockies as my dog. And for my lock, I'm going to go back to the Tigers, I think, at the Red Sox, minus 133 behind Reese Olsen. Like I say, he got that win last time. Maybe he can run up a sequence. And Criswell is starting to look a little bit exposed. So I'll take the Tigers to roll over the Red Sox. Trev's lock. He's going for the Sale K ladder. That's what Trev's sending us out. We're done, Scott. Anything else you want to tell the people before we let them go?
Yeah, I did look it up because Trevor and I were talking about the Clark Schmidt news. I was right. He will not be throwing for 4 to 6 weeks. So he might be out for 8 weeks. So we'll see what happens. He probably has a rehab start or two he's going to have to do. So he's going to be out for a couple months at this point. It's a good sign if you want Luis Heel Rookie of the Year odds because he's going to stay in the rotation. So just keep that in mind. But nothing else really to add. A lot of games on the card. Should be fun. A lot of games tonight. And I know you got a big soccer day tomorrow. I know that your teams are not in it, but let's go Real Madrid.
Champions League final tomorrow. I think neutrals want Dortmund.
It's a good story. Generally the underdog. I mean, they're rooting for Dortmund.
Exactly. That's pretty much it, Scott. Rooting for the underdog and Real Madrid do kind of represent the old guard. When Dortmund reached the final at Wembley 11 years ago, 2011, which is where the final is tomorrow, and they lost.
That was the Robin goal, right? Didn't Robin score in the 88th minute or something? Yeah, I watched that match.
But I like the under tomorrow, under 2.5 goals. But yeah, I just hope it's a good game. I'll maintain a watching brief. It is the English derby tomorrow on the horses at Epsom in the afternoon. There's a 25-1 shot called Delia Mile. I like in that.
I'm shocked though. You're picking an under. You're picking an under in a cup final. I'm shocked.
Yeah. I know. Yeah. Terrible, isn't it? But this time next week, Scott, next Friday night, I will be in my London hotel, ready to go to the Phillies and the Mets next Saturday. So that's exciting. So next week is all build up. You gave me home run props last year. Do you remember giving me Ian Happ for the Cubs?
I did. Yeah, because Wainwright was not only that was before everyone knew he sucked, but I knew that Happ had really good numbers against him, and they play in that weird small field in London. It actually wasn't that bad last year. They kind of fixed the dimensions, and the games were not insanely high scoring like the Yankees Red Sox series. I think Happ had 2 home runs in that game. Actually, I think.
I know. I was stood with my beer bat in my hand, over the moon, watching that ball sail out.
Yeah.
Because I'd backed that, and I backed Dansby Swanson, who hit a home run in the top of the 9th, which is great. That basically that was my beer money for the night. I was just about to go home, quite happy with my Ian Happ money. And then Dansby just thought, there you go, Malcolm, there's another 5 pints for you. And he hit one over the fence as well. So
I'm actually curious, though, question. As a beer drinker, what's your favorite overall brand or type of beer? You have a favorite? Favorite tap?
Well, I drink... you must be familiar with Newcastle Brown Ale, yeah?
I've heard of it. I never had it.
Yeah, right. That's our local brew, and that's what I'll drink around here. But if I have like 5 of those, it does make me go blind. Like it really can send you a little bit, like actually blind. But no, I'm not that fussy. Like I tend not to discriminate. I'm an equal opportunities drinker, Scott. But I don't mind a Coors or some sort of American type lager either. I'll tell you what I don't like: this modern IPA stuff. I can't get away with it. I feel like I should like it, but I just don't.
I'm not a fan either. They allegedly have different flavors and different names, but they all taste bitter to me. I don't really notice a flavor difference, but Scott, that's kind of how
you've got it. It's all the same drink. It all tastes. There's one big vat of it somewhere. They've got one vat, and they all out the same vat, and then they call it something like.
But you give it the weirdest name. It's like berry unicorn, whatever. And I'm like, this is just bitter. There is no berry anything. This is just bad. Like I don't know what you want from me.
Yeah, this tastes of grapefruit and Uskogs or something. No, it doesn't. It tastes of fart, is what it tastes of. So yeah, I'm exactly the same as you. So, but other than that, I'll have a pint of Guinness occasionally. Don't mind a couple of pints of Guinness during the day. or even a bit of cider. I think I'm a functioning alcoholic, is what we're learning, Scott.
The keyword's functional.
I've made me whiskey last. Sorry?
The keyword's functional. It means if you stop drinking, you won't be able to do anything. So you have to drink for the sake of everybody else.
Well, no comment. I made this last 55 minutes, though. Okay, good talk. Below Average Cook's just joined us for the last 2 minutes. Not seen him for a couple of weeks. How are you doing? Thanks, everyone who joined. Trev and Gio Bennett's joined for the last 30 seconds as well. Who else was in earlier on? We mentioned Lane as well, didn't we? So, yeah, thanks, everyone. We do appreciate it. Good luck with all your picks over the weekend. Somebody will be back on Sunday night to talk through all of this silliness.
I think it's
until then,
I think I'm with Lonte on Sunday. I think I usually get the Sunday assignment. I think Munaf realized I don't have a social life, so I'm just always available on Sunday to do episodes. So I think I'm just the Sunday guy now. But maybe.
There you go. Sunday Scott, we call you. So I won't see you on Sunday. Scott will. Until then, he will see you down the road. Cheers.